Hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today, I'll be showing you all how to fill the Global Korean Scholarship Form 2 and Form 3. For those that are just joining now, you're all highly welcome back. I am Dr. Rogers, multiple scholarship winner and also a research professor in Korea. So basically throughout I think for my life or so, uh, I've studied in with scholarships. So personally, I don't know what it means to pay tuition, and I think it's a skill or something I should share with my subscribers. So the Global Korean Scholarship is usually launched February of each month or ending February, and sometimes applicants face difficulties on how to apply. So usually it's not because they don't know, but it's just because there is so much you need to prepare to before they do apply. But you don't need to worry much about that because my channel here I'm sharing tips on how to apply. So yep. So that's basically it. Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna share some tips on how you can you know basically handle that. So yeah, let's go to it. In my last video, I showed you how you can fill the. We are on the application form number 2. I talked about the application form. So today I'll be talking about the personal statement and the study plan. And you see that both for masters, for doctorate, research, personal statement is required. But for master's, doctorate, a study plan is required, but you do not need it for the research. Um, Background information, masters, you need to have a bachelor degree before you can apply for the masters. PhD, you need to have um, a master's degree or at your completion at the level of completing your studies before you apply. So if you're your last semester and you know that well probably before August the following year you're going to be done and have your certificate or your attestation, then you can apply during February March session. So we're going to go straight to it. Yeah. So a quick recap is you're going to need a research proposal, only applicable for research applicants. So only research applicants can fill that. Then one letter of recommendation is required. So if you're applying for this scholarship, so usually what you need to do is for the recommendation letter, there is a format, there is a form, a document which is provided by the Global Korean Scholarship. You give it to your supervisor. He has to fill, sign, and he has to seal it. You don't open it because if you open it, it will not be acceptable. You sign, he signs, fill, and stamp on it with his official um, either signature or stamp, and then you send it to you compile with the documents you'll be applying, and then you send that. So it is required at all levels. So since there are usually two application forms, usually you have the university track and the embassy track. So you provide it for all tracks you're going to provide. Embassy track, you're targeting just two universities. Meanwhile, for three universities, meanwhile for university track, it's just one track. So basically, it's just one track that you will have to, you'll be following. So yeah, so that is basically it. And yeah, that's basically it. And for let's say, so I said this video will be for me to show you tips on personal statement. So when you're writing the personal statement, in some scholarship, personal statement is usually referred to as a statement of purpose. But the Global Korean Scholarship calls it it is called the um, personal statement. And in this case, it is made easier for students because in this case, they give you what they want. Some scholarships usually they do not give you what they really want. So um, you know, so in the personal statement in this case, first you need to read the instructions. The first step is that read the instructions carefully. So they said you should either type in Korean or in English. If you type in French, German, Spanish, or any other language, nobody is going to read it or they are not going to send it to a translator. So if your first language of instruction or study language is not English or Korean, please kindly write and translate it to English or Korean to the language which is best appropriate for you. Again, if you're not comfortable with Korean, do not try to write in Korean to impress those selecting. They have in mind, they know that Korean is not, you know, Korean is not your language of instruction. So they will consider that, you know, when you are writing. So you should write with a language which is best suitable for you, you know. So yeah, because some people you think maybe writing in Korean they're gonna be impressed or not. No, they will not. People are not really going to be impressed by that. What they are looking forward to is for you to graduate to really explain why you feel or this scholarship is best appropriate for you, you know. So bear that in mind. Secondly, they say the one times new Roman. So if you go and write with any other type of font size, or for example, here you have let's say you go and use Aveni Next or American typewriter type font size, you're definitely gonna lose marks on this part because you did not follow instructions. And they said write 11. Your front size should be 11. So you better use the front size 11 spacing 1.5. No, must be sorry, single space within two pages. So a single space for your single spacing. I'm going to show you single spacing here. You have spacing here 1.5, 1.15, 1.5, 2. So your spacing should be 2. Okay, you follow a spacing of 2. So after writing, you highlight. Make sure you highlight everything. For example, this one. Okay, this writing, and you can see that this writing is New Times Roman. New Times Roman. So it's going to be New Times Roman. Okay, you put your New Times Roman. Okay, then now 11. Okay, you see that that's 11. Spacing, your spacing has got to be 2. Okay, spacing 2. So when you write that your spacing has to be 2, New Times Roman, you know, it's very important. Some of these comments or some of these, you might see them as, very, not small or so, but if you don't follow it, you would end up having problems. Okay, so you're gonna have problems when you are doing that. So it's very important you follow that instructions when doing okay, yeah, so it's very important you follow that instruction whensoever you are, when you are um you know doing that. Okay, so secondly, your essay has to include the following items: motivation which you are applying for the program, What is motivating you? Why are you applying for the Global Korean Scholarship? You need to strictly, you know, explain that. Explain why you are applying for the Global Korean Scholarship. Don't just go saying, I'm applying for the Global Korean Scholarship because I want to come to Korea. I'm interested in coming to Korea to, you're just interested to come to Korea because of the K-pop is very famous and all of that. No, that is not a good motivation. Okay, you need to explain why you feel it's very important for you to be awarded this scholarship. Remember, what you've got to remember is that it's a competition, and so many people are applying. So so many people are applying. What is going to, you know, make you stand out. For example, if you're writing, you can start by saying, I am writing to express my interest for, is it for master's? Is it for PhD? For research program? In which major you put it there. And you say you're currently, what are you doing? For example, currently, I'm a biology student. I'm a biology student studying at this university. So you can say, I am writing to express my interest in the Global Korean Scholarship. You need to write this in full. Global Korean, okay, interest in Global Korean Scholarship, JKS, in is it masters or PhD or research? Mind you, you can apply for just one in, let's say, biology. Okay, so biology. First of all, you need to mention, is it for masters? Is it biology? Is it physics? So it's very important you mention that aspect. Okay, I'm writing to express my interest in this, in physics, in maths, in chemistry. Then after writing that, you have to mention then physics, biology, chemistry. When you mention that, of course, after mentioning that, of course, then next, you need to, sometimes it's very important, you can mention what you're currently doing. For example, I'm a bachelor degree student studying, a recent graduate from the University of, let's say, Cape Town, or the University of Boya, or Boya University, Comai, Cameroon, Nigeria, France, Belgium, wherever you are. So you give a background information about yourself. You're a recent bachelor degree student who recently graduated from this. And also, I'm a first class student. If you're not a first class, please don't even mention that. Sometimes you need to put the very juicy information that will catch the attention of whosoever is going to read your paper. Oh, first class student. Oh, wow. But if you're not a first class, don't mind, recently of biology. So I'm writing to express my interest to apply for a bachelor in this, that, research or that. Mind you, because the importance to say this is because the bachelor degree has its own phase when you're applying. Master degree, PhD, and research, they have another phase which comes on February ending of each year. So you need to specify that. Then your motivation, you're writing because you feel that this is just an example. What motivates you to apply for it is because you feel that Korea, for example, has one of the top education systems in the world, and they have all the research facilities, which you feel if you get to study in their universities, you're going to benefit from that, and it will help you to impact your system of education. Because coming from a developed country, for example, you do not have these facilities. Okay, so coming to Korea, you feel that you're going to benefit from it. And besides, you've heard from your classmates who have studied in Korea before that this will definitely be helpful for your career. So These are kind of ways you can, put out this motivation back out there. And then your education background, you need to specify and mention it. For example, if you're applying for, let's say, PhD, let's say in my own case, I mentioned that, for example, I have a bachelor's degree from Cameroon, my master's from Ethiopia, and now I want to apply for uh, um, a PhD in Korea, and my background was in climate change and development with a specialization in forest. So I'm applying for a PhD in environmental science, specialization in forestry at Dongguk University when I was applying then. So you need to mention all of this juicy information in there. Your specific experiences that you have in mind, persons or events that have impacted or influenced you. For example, in my own case, I said my bachelor degree or my master degree supervisor was a Korean. I felt he then was a very quite a smart person. He uh, he inspired me a lot to study in Korea, and I felt like having a touch of other Korean experts would really help in shaping my help me in shaping my education career. So that person who was a Korean then in Africa was my first encounter with a Korean. That was my first encounter with a Korean, and his way of doing things very fast, very accurate, timely made me feel quite inspired, and I really wanted to come study in Korea. And after studying Korea, personally now I don't regret it. So those are some of the experiences. You don't need to quote about a Korean, but you can quote about experiences which you feel are in line with your area of studies and also in line with your majors. Okay, cannot be saying you met a Korean who did science inspire you, but your major is law. How does that correlate? So it's don't just copy my example. Give your own personal experiences, and it should sound natural as much as possible. And awards that you receive, publications or skills. For example, during my case, I received lots of awards. Like for example, I received the award of the best student for my master's degree, the presidential award from my country. Also, I was studying on one of the best scholarships from Africa. So from that, those scholarships, those skills which I gained, helped me, or I think they will be useful for me studying Korean because I'm very fast and accurate when it comes to doing things. So that those are some of the things I put in my when writing. And also another tip is when you write, do not be shy. Do not be shy to ask a colleague, to request a colleague to read your paper and point out the mistakes. Or if so, you can also request your supervisor, you know, you can also request your supervisor to also, one very important thing is that, um, yeah, one very important thing is that yeah, sorry about that. That was a quick mail. Yeah, a quick mail which needs my attention. So, um, just a moment. Yeah. So, like I was saying, it's a quick mail, which needs my quick attention. Yeah, I got back to that. So you need to mention some of these things, those juicy information. And mind you, I've always had this thinking that the way you think, okay, tricky. The way you think here could be the same way another person thinks in another part of the world, but they are your experiences. Put them there. Don't just go to the internet, copy something, paste. If you just copy and paste, the people evaluating these documents they're definitely going to find out. And if they find out, you're automatically dismissed and banned from the scholarship. So make sure you share your own personal information. It's very important. Share your personal information and make sure that the information you're sharing, you know, is in line with whatsoever you are doing, with whatsoever is in line with what you are doing. So, with that said, with that said, okay, with that said, yeah, like I said before, after writing, kindly request for someone who is within your circle to read. The person should read and give you comments. Always there are people who will be willing to read and give you comments. You never know. You never know. So please kindly let someone read and let you have have his own opinion or comments about it. It's very important. I do that to all my mentees. I have a couple of students I usually mentor, or even my own self. Sometimes I write and make mistakes. I reach out. Probably I can request my boss sometimes to give me his comment, or a friend. Don't be shy. You see, the more you go ahead, you'll see that as human, you're bound to make little errors. So that is also one tip you should consider when when drafting these. Also, your study plan. So that those are these are my tips about filling your personal statement, and they should be in line. And also, before I ever started applying for scholarships, one thing which I always make sure I do is to go to the general information board about the scholarship. I read everything word for word. I do make sure I try to check what are the objectives, what are the target, what is the target of this scholarship. Because when you know the target, when you read about the target of the scholarship, you're definitely gonna know, or you're gonna find out what is what is that thing that you know, the scholarship applicants or the people in charge are looking forward to, you know, so they are looking forward to. So it's always very important um, it's always very important you do mention that when you are applying for any scholarship. Always check that. It's very important because nowadays a lot of students apply for scholarships, and if you ask them what is the target, why are they even interested, why are they giving out this scholarship, they will not even know. But if you can read and know what is the target or the objectives of the scholarship, then you definitely know what they are requesting for or the kind of candidate they are looking for, and you will know how to shape or to write out your statement. Very important and very necessary. Also, also, yeah, I've already mentioned that on that part. So I'm gonna go now on how to fill form number three. Form number three, like I said before, is your study plan. Very important aspect is another one. So like as usual, you need to read the instructions first. You type either in English or in Korean. Okay. The one before the personal statement is 2 pages. So if you read 3 pages, they're not going to look at it. So just imagine if you wrote everything and your most important part falls in the third page. The third page is kicked off, you end up losing those marks. Follow instructions, very important. So your study plan essay must be in a single space within 3 pages. Single page within 3 pages. And your study plan is subdivided. Okay. You see that your study plan is subdivided into parts. You have first study plan, goal, and the future plan. This is more like a research proposal for those that are into science. This is more like a research proposal where usually the research proposal, you need to first of all mention the first part. You need to mention about the plan. How do you plan to improve your Korean, stroke your English? Again, this is a very tricky part because if your major, before you go about writing this part, you need to find out whether your major is in Korean or it's going to be in English. So if you're going to have your major in, for example, in English, and you go about, mentioning that how you're going to improve your Korean skills, well, that could be applicable for your Korean language school, but it will be better if you can mention on how you plan, to how do you plan to improve, what is your plan, or how do you plan to improve your 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 Korean, your English ability. So for example, I did my PhD studies in English, but for the first year, all those who do not have a um, Korean language skill level, they are definitely expected. They are definitely expected, to study Korean. So do not say you come during your first year and enroll for a Korean course. It's basic information. That information, they expect you to know it, right? So it's not really much of a valid point, like as I can say. Um, so you mentioning you enroll for a Korean class during your first year is not so much that valid, because those that do not have a Korean level are all expected to enroll for Korean for the first year, because knowing Korean will help you to adapt within the Korean culture. So, for example, if you want to say how you're going to improve your Korean, for example, you're going to say, okay, when I come to Korea during my Korean language school, or during the time, I'm going to make sure I integrate with the Korean society as much as possible, because mind you, they are looking forward to candidates who are willing or are able to survive abroad. Okay, because if you're that kind of candidate that shows that you are not able to, survive, or you're gonna have challenges surviving abroad, then probably they might not want that kind of candidate. Okay, not really their fault, but it's your fault, because sometimes, first of all, moving abroad and studying in a country which is not yours, it could be challenging, both psychologically, physically, climate wise, food wise. There are so many things applicable. Okay, so, and like I always say, don't lie during your application, because when you lie and come all the way and you're kicked out from the program afterwards, it might be emotionally draining. So know yourself pretty well and just say the truth. Very important. So so you're going to talk about how you improve your English or your Korean language ability for taking the degree course. The key word is taking the degree course. Okay, key word, taking the degree course. So this is a key word in this part. So this is your keyword. How are you going to improve? Let me enlarge this. How are you going to improve your language ability for taking the degree course before and after Korea? Like I always mention, I have a case. I'm going to quote. I had a classmate. So during that time, that classmate, because obviously there are people who really love Korea culture and everything. So she was coming to do her major was in Korean, okay? But when she came, because usually when you come the first year, you're expected to study Korean for 1 year. You're enrolled, so the Korean government takes care of that. So her major was to be in Korean, but she was not able to have the cutoff mark to let her go for her Korean course, because her Korean course expected her to have a higher, it was expecting her to have a higher, um, um, yes, dropping the comment. It was expecting her to have a higher Korean language course, because there is what we call test of Korean ability, which is called TOPIK. Is this equivalent to IELTS, TOEFL, but that's in Korean language, where they test your listening, speaking, writing, and ability to I think ability to, like, it's called Tidgi, Malhagi, Sigi. I think there is another one. Oh, reading, Iyagi. Yes. So those are the different levels which they test. So, for example, and within those levels, you have topic level one, two, three, four, five, six topic. And again, mind you, within different countries now, there are Korean language centers where you study Korean. But if you do not take topic, then you might not really know. So, for example, topic, the cutoff score back then was having to have topic three, which will permit you to go to your next level, is 120 score. Okay, but um, her school expected her to have topic four. Guys, to get topic four, you really need to be good in Korean. You need, not in Korean, but the exam wise, you need to know. And then also one thing to, I'm gonna make more videos in the future where usually they're taking the exams and speaking and communicating fluently in Korean. They're two different things. It's just like you bear with me that even as um people who have studied in English, even native English speakers, if they take TOEFL, there are certain scores that is very hard for them to get. Same with Korean. So I usually advise check if your program will be taught in English or in Korean. That's the first most important thing. Okay? Because in each application process, the programs they will tell you if the program is taught in Korean or is taught in English. Okay. Then, if your program is taught in English, the question here is they're asking you how are you going to improve your English ability when you're taking the degree course or after you come to Korea. So how do you plan to improve your English course or your Korean after you come here? That is before and after. So you can in answering this question, you can probably mention on how you plan to improve your Korean ability before coming to Korea. For example, if you're somebody that has been visiting Korean language centers in your country, you can mention that if you've been watching Korean dramas, you can mention that, but don't call the name of a drama that you've not watched because mind you, you might just call the drama which is that of the favorite of the interviewer, and the person calling you for the interview might be, because one thing about Koreans is that they are very real people. They are people who are very nice. Okay, so during the interview process they make it relax as much as possible. So if you like, they're definitely gonna know. So for example, if you go and mention you watch Descendants of the Sun, that's one of my favorite Korean drama, and they're telling you, okay, do you know about the UN mission scene? And you've not watched that, but just because you've heard about that and you mention, they will know you're not telling the truth. And one of the worst things that can happen to you during your interview is for the interviewers to find out that you are not telling the truth. It's frustrating. Personally, it's frustrating. So be truthful as much as possible. Then you're gonna mention that when you come to Korea, you can mention how you intend to improve your English. You can talk about improving your English. For example, if you are from a French background and you're coming to study a program in English, you're gonna mention of how you've been watching also English movies, improving, or how you did study translate from French to studying English. I have people, for example, based on statistics, people from French speaking African countries usually perform better at the Korean study school and all of that. That's a discussion for another day. So you're also going to talk about the goal of your study and detailed study plan. So for example, if you're coming to study geology, if you want to come to study geology, forestry, soil science, why do you want to study soil science? Why do you want to study geology? Why do you want to study physics? Are you just excited by the name or just because you have a bachelor degree in biology or geology? Why? Put that down in writing. And mind, for example, if you want to study soil science, you're going to say, for example, I'm a soil scientist, I'm a soil expertise, and I know quite trending issues or topics on soil science. And mine is Korean scientists are one of the best in the world. They are really good. They are up to date. So don't go and blab about the whole thing. For example, if you want to study soil science, you might say, oh, for example, you're coming from a community whereby soil productivity decreases throughout the year. But because you have limited laboratories in your country that can test, carry a soil um, analysis, so you want to study in Korea, soil studies in Korea, so that you can be able to evaluate soil properties so that you can be able to mention about the health of soils that will help in improving crops within your country when you go back. Okay, that is really a good study plan. That's a good study plan, which makes sense, by the way, which makes sense. So you're going to mention about that in your, and then you can sometimes maybe support it with references, and then if possible, if you can quote a researcher, one of the top scientists in that within your country, then your future plan in Korea or another country after finishing. You can say, okay, once you're done, the good thing about the Global Korean Scholarship is that when you're done, you are either permitted, you're allowed to either, if you want to stay in Korea, you can stay. Then you can stay, okay. But if you want to go, you can go. There are other scholarships whereby when you're done, you you must exit Korea. For example, the Korean um scholarship, you must leave Korea. But the Global Korea Scholarship, you can mention whether you look forward to staying in Korea and working once you're done, or you go back. And the reason that is the reason why most scholarship people who benefit from the scholarship usually usually after after once you come here, usually during your first year, um, you are expected to, I think during your first year, usually, sometimes they, let you study Korean because they are gradually planning or preparing you for life in Korea after. For example, in my own case, when I was done, I got a job in Korea and I now work in Korea. Some of my mates, when they were done, they went back to their country. So, what is your plan once you finish? Okay, feel free to mention that plan once you're done from the scholarship, and you should mention very realistic plans. Don't go mentioning plans that once you're finished, you want to set up a very, you know, you want to set up a very big company in Korea, or once you're finished, you want to, uh, some kind of unrealistic plans. They'll definitely know you're not telling or you're not speaking the truth, okay? Or in most cases, a good one could be once you finish, you want to go back to help in building your country or creating a good relationship between your country and the Korean government. So those are some of the realistic plans you can mention when you are, you know, you know. So those are some of the plans that you can use when you are applying for the Global Korean Scholarship. Okay. So like I said before, it's I'm gonna be sharing more with time. So yes, okay. I'll be sharing more with time. I'm gonna be sharing more of this with time as time goes by. So as time goes by, I'll be sharing more of these aspects with each and every one of you. So yeah. So thank you very much everyone on the comment box. Thank you very much. So this all the information I'm sharing here is to help prepare students when they are applying for the Global Korean Scholarship, because sometimes mind you, sharing information um is very important, very important for as scholars, because uh, I personally I benefited from this thanks to listening to other people. So if there is no other question, oh by the way, I'm gonna invite I can invite some people online. If maybe next time we can have more like a chat, where you can talk more about the this. But if just a moment, so I'm gonna see if I can invite some people to join. So I'm gonna invite people. Okay, gonna invite some of my mentees, some students who are looking forward to joining. Okay, so just a moment. Yeah, I think they have questions which they would like to share some questions with us. Then while we are talking about that, just hold on a moment, okay? So they can, I'm gonna share that with them, okay? So that we can share that and then they can come forward and join. So the Global Korean Scholarship, meanwhile, while waiting for the students, um, what I can say is that okay, just a moment. Okay, yeah. I don't know why this keeps. Okay, just a moment, just a moment, just a moment. Mhm. Yeah. So one of the good thing about the Global Korean Scholarship is that what you can benefit from this scholarship is there are so many things. This scholarship covers for your flight. It covers for your allowance. It covers for your medical expenses. It covers for so many things. So it's a full scholarship. It is one of the best scholarships you can ever find in Korea. So it has, and then it also helps you to get full, you know, full to study for Korean, which is like full package. A lot of scholarships don't do that. Yeah, a lot of scholarships don't do that. So it permits you to be able to, to be able to integrate into the Korean community. And once you're done from the scholarship, you join quite a wide alumni. You join a wide alumni of students from all over the world, which is good for networking. Okay, it is good for networking because one thing about joining scholarship is that usually when you join scholarships or when you study on scholarships, you end up with a wide network. Okay, you end up with a wide network of students, which will help to which is quite useful for or helpful for your career. Yeah, it is quite helpful for your career. That's one thing about scholarships is that it is helpful for your career. I'm trying to. It's quite helpful for your career too. Yeah. So I'm gonna send. I'm trying to invite some people. They're gonna come in live, and then yeah. So we can talk a little bit because I have some people have been indicating they want to join. They have questions. Okay. They have questions which they're looking forward to asking. So I'm gonna let them join. Okay. So that's basically we keep talking about the Global Korean Scholarship. So like I was saying before, I send that out. So I'm looking forward to them. Yeah. So you know, the scholarship. So I'll make another video again. I'm going to make another video for to talk about how you can fill the remaining forms, because each of the forms that are constitute part of this volume, part of this global Korean scholarship series. It's very important because usually when applications start, a lot of candidates reach out. You know, they are reaching out. The one the one they are asking for questions. And I myself, I get so busy and I don't have time to answer their questions all the time. So this is the moment I just prepare the videos and drop them there, because very soon applicants, usually almost over 1,000 people or more usually apply for this scholarship. So it's pretty much very competitive, and also the level of competition too. You need to check how competitive the scholarship is you know within your country. There are some countries whereby just by the fact that you alone um you alone applies for it, you're awarded a scholarship. So I'm gonna end here, and then next time I'll show you or tell you guys how the other forms are being dealt with. See you again. Bye. See you again in my next video.